At first glance, this 2016 Chevy Cruze Limited looks like a basic, affordable commuter. And honestly, that's exactly the appeal. But with 138,000 miles and some exterior scratches, the real question is how cheap this car will actually be to own from here. Getting inside, this is clearly from an older era. But the layout is simple and the interior has held up better than the outside. Nothing immediately looks absurd or neglected. Everything starts cleanly. The electronics appear to work. And I'm not seeing any warning lights that stay on. With the door open, I'm listening for rattles, squeaks, misfires, or anything that sounds expensive. A clean idle is encouraging, but it still doesn't replace a mechanical inspection. Moving to the back, the rear seat gives me a decent amount of room for a compact car. The driver's seat is still set for my position, and my knees clear it without a problem. There's no center armrest back here. It works for occasional passengers, but it doesn't feel like a place designed for long trips. Leaning forward gives me a better view of the dashboard and front seat layout. I'm looking around for anything worth pointing out, but this back seat is pretty straightforward. Back at the driver's door, the trunk release sits near the middle of the dash. The trunk itself is a useful size. There are no seat releases here. You do get an emergency release and a curved handle for closing the lid. And yes, the little fuel door works. The rear seat release is inside the passenger compartment. Pulling this lever lets the seat fold down and opens up more length behind the trunk. The driver's side release is far enough away that I'm leaving it alone. The opening curves at the bottom, which limits bulky items. Up front, the passenger seat is adjusted manually. I'm sliding it back to where I would actually sit. Manual controls aren't fancy, but there are also fewer motors and switches to fail later. Once I'm inside, the dashboard is simple and easy to understand. The glove box gives you a reasonable amount of storage. The visor has a mirror, but there's no light around it. It also doesn't extend when I pull it away from the hook. And there's no sunglass holder in the overhead console either. You do get two separate map lights, and both of them work like they should. The hazard switch is easy to reach. The climate controls are physical. And the handbrake is the traditional mechanical type. None of this feels modern, but none of it requires a tutorial. The center armrest is small, but there's some usable storage inside. Looking a second time, I also found the charging connection tucked down in there. The center controls feel dated, but they are straightforward and everything I tested worked. On a car at this price, working equipment matters more to me than having the newest screen. Walking around the front, the headlight still looks clear enough to do its job. The scratches keep the exterior in a good to fair condition, but they appear more cosmetic than functional. Under the hood, I'm checking for fresh oil, dry coolant, cracked hoses, belt wear, and suspiciously clean areas that could be hiding a leak. First, verify the engine. The Cruze Limited came with a 1.8 liter and a 1.4 liter turbo, and that changes the maintenance budget. On the 1.8, the timing belt, idler, and tensioner were due at 97,500 miles. With no record, I treat that as urgent and budget around $1,000. The 1.4 turbo uses a chain, but adds cooling, PCV, oil line, and turbo risk. A replacement turbo can cost roughly $1,100 to $1,500. Before moving, I'm checking that the seatbelt latches, the climate control responds, reverse engages without a hard delay, and the steering feels normal while I look behind me. Repair Pal gives the Chevrolet Cruze a 4 out of 5 reliability rating, which sounds good, but it ranks 26 out of 36 compact cars, with about $545 in average annual repair and maintenance cost. That number covers Cruzes across different years and mileages. At almost 140,000 miles, I would budget more than the average and judge this specific car by its records, inspection, and current condition. Pulling onto the road, I'm giving it enough throttle to see how easy it gets up to speed. The power is adequate, but this car is clearly built around commuting and fuel economy. I'm also watching for hesitation, misfires, transmission slipping, or sudden loss of power. Those are the problems that can turn a cheap car into an expensive one. At the time of filming, a Cruze Limited with this mileage and condition is roughly $3,500 to $5,000 private party car, or around $5,000 to $6,500 from a dealer. The exact trim, title, and history and recent work can move it in either direction. At more than $7,000, I would need excellent records, newer tires and brakes, major services already completed, and some kind of real warranty. A low monthly payment does not make an overpriced high mileage car a good deal. Passing the semi gives me another chance to check the power. It gets around without much drama, but I'm paying attention to how much the transmission responds and whether the engine stays smooth under load. At highway speed, the Cruze feels stable enough for normal commuting. I'm briefly easing my grip to see whether it tracks straight, but this is not something I would hold for more than a moment. There's no lane keeping assistance bringing the car back toward the center. That's expected for the age and equipment, but it means the driver is doing all the work. If the car wanders, vibrates, or pulls, I would check the tire wear, alignment, wheel bearings, and suspension before blaming the road. You can hear a fair amount of highway noise inside the cabin. It isn't refined, but it's acceptable for a car designed to get somebody to work without costing a lot up front. With no service history, I'd start with an inspection and scan: oil, filters, plugs, coolant, brake fluid, transmission fluid assessment, and belt inspection. Budget anywhere from $900 to $1,700 for the 1.4 turbo. On the 1.8, an undocumented timing belt can raise that to $2,000 to $3,000. That assumes usable tires, brakes, battery, and suspension. Tires add about $500 to $800. Brakes cost several hundred per axle, and suspension can add $500 to $1,500. When several are due together, it can reach up to $3,500 to $5,000. On the turbo, watch for coolant leaks, thermostat problems, PCV or intake faults, oil leaks, and turbo trouble. A thermostat can approach $500 and a turbo can exceed $1,400. The 1.8 avoids the turbo but needs that belt. Either way, keep a $1,200 to $2,000 repair reserve. Insurance depends on the driver and zip code. For planning, use $900 to $1,300 a year for liability-focused coverage, or $1,500 to $2,300 for full coverage. On a $4,000 to $5,000 car, compare the collision premium and deductible with the likely payout. This is the Cruze's real use case, getting through a shift change without a large payment. The speed bumps also reveal strut noise, loose bushings, or worn mounts. A cheap commuter still needs to feel solid, because repeated small repairs slowly erase the savings. The Corolla and Civic score 4.5 out of 5 for reliability, averaging $362 to $368 a year. The Mazda 3 scores 4 out of 5 at $433. They cost several $1,000s more than this Cruze, so Chevy wins up front. The question is whether repairs give that discount back. Before fuel and the purchase price, I plan on $3,500 to $8,000 in the first year for catch-up work, repairs, and insurance. The lower end assumes records and usable wear items. The upper end assumes deferred maintenance. Add the cost of the car, and the realistic first-year cash exposure is about $7,000 to $14,000 before taxes, registration, and fuel. That's why the inspection matters more than getting another few $100s off the asking price. I'd only buy this after a clean inspection, with at least $2,000 left for repairs. If the total approaches Corolla or Civic money, I'd choose the stronger alternative. So is this an affordable commuter? Maybe. But buy the history, not only the price. This is the passing lane.